Do you want to be more productive? Do you want to decrease your levels of anxiety? Do you want to feel like you're accomplishing more? Then stay tuned. Hi all you Simple Life lovers. Welcome back. I hope it's going well with everyone. So, quick question. When last did you have the privilege of focusing only on one thing at a time? Not necessarily until it's finished, just long enough for you to know what's going on, to commit to doing the task at hand, and to give your best before you had to move on to the next step or to the next task. Next question. Did that fill you with dread and fear, thinking that you were only supposed to work on one thing at one time? Well, if it did, then we need to talk. For years and years and years, multitasking was seen as this gift from the gods. It was the productivity tool. If you looked at any job application or list of coveted skills or anything like that, multitasking was one of the top listed skills. Everyone wanted a multitasker. If you wanted to sell yourself, you just had to convince someone that you could do 10 things at the same time and you could do all of them very well, which is a lie because no one can really. Luckily, as time went by, scientists and employers and the workforce realized that this was nonsense. There's no way that you can focus on 10 things at the same time and do all of them well. You can't even do that with 2 things at the same time. Some days I can barely talk and think at the same time. So multitasking is slowly going out of fashion, and I must tell you, the timing is perfect, because as we go on with our day and daily lives, more and more people are realizing that they are so rushed and stressed and anxious all the time. And most of that stems from us feeling that we are not good enough and we're not getting enough done. And multitasking is one of the devils in this scenario, because we never get to finish everything that we've tried to do, anything that we started, at the quality levels that we would like it to be done. So what happens when you try to multitask? Well, your brain is kind of just falling around without anything to focus on. So there's no anchor keeping it together. Because you're asking your brain to focus completely on one thing just to jump to the next thing where it now has to focus on that, and then to the next and the next and the next. And every time that you make the jump, your brain has to refocus. It has to quickly drag up the needed information that you need for this task while telling you what resources you need, what tools you need. It needs to adapt to the circumstances and the situation, and it can't. You can't do that leap from one thing to the next with 100% efficiency and effectiveness. So every time that you jump from one task to the next, you lose precious seconds. You lose precious cognitive abilities and the power of concentration. What single tasking does is it allows you to focus on only one thing. So you know you can train your brain to drag up all the needed information that you need to complete this one task. When it is done, you then move on to the next, giving your brain enough time to adapt and reassess the situation and get the needed information to then fix that one problem or get a solution or do the project. So not only is the benefit of single tasking that you concentrate on one thing and you finish it doing it very well, but you also allow your brain to look at complex problems, giving it enough time to actually solve them. Because you know what they say, the most difficult problem is the one that you keep on putting off, because by the end it is a major big thing and it would have been small if you've just handled it when it happened. So when we focus on one thing and we allow our brain to only focus on that single task at hand, we allow it, or we give it the freedom to actually solve our biggest problem. So not only do you have the chance of tackling those complex problems or processes, but you also have the chance of exercising your creativity, allowing yourself a little bit of freedom to think about things, and you would be surprised at how little mistakes you make when you focus only on one thing, because you don't end up trying to rush through a process and then in the end realizing, ooh, you sent out the wrong information, or you didn't give a very detailed answer, or you attached the wrong document, or you made horrible spelling mistakes, or anything like that, because you took the time to finish the job and finish it well. So if you are as convinced as I am that single tasking is really the answer to your productivity problem, then you're going to ask me, but how? So to be completely honest with you, it's difficult. We have not been conditioned or trained to focus only on one thing. Our brains don't like to be bored, or our brains like the interesting stuff in life. So we prefer jumping from one thing to the next because it keeps life interesting and it keeps us moving. So we're not predisposed to sitting quietly and still and focusing only on one thing. But luckily, concentration is a skill that you can teach yourself, and the brain is like a muscle. So if you just keep on exercising it and flexing it, it will become stronger and more determined and with high levels of endurance. So it's going to take a process and it's going to take a little bit of time, but you can do it. So if you want to start single tasking, then here are my 3 simple steps to start. Firstly, remove all distractions. That includes anything that pulls away your attention from the task at hand. So your phone, your laptop, close your browsers, go out of your email, close your Facebook or social media platforms, turn off your notifications, take the dog out of the house, close the door so that there's no noise. Anything that normally distracts you, try and remove that out of your immediate environment. Secondly, break your time into smaller chunks and break the activity or the project that you need to do into smaller chunks. You can't go from multitasking to single tasking one project for an hour. It will drain you and you will never attempt it again. So rather commit to giving your undivided attention for 5 minutes. Set a timer. After 5 minutes, the alarm will go off. Get up. Walk around the table, or go make a cup of tea, or drink a few swigs of water. Anything. It just needs to be an actual definite break. Then as you grow accustomed to actually paying attention and concentrating on something, you start to make these time slots longer until you reach the required time. A nice technique to try is the Pomodoro technique, where you pay attention or you focus on something for 25 minutes and then you take 5 minutes, a 5-minute break. And this cycle then just keeps on repeating itself until your workday is done, or until your project is done, or whatever time you set out for yourself. Of course, the ideal is to be able to focus on one single thing until it's completely done. But then you get large tasks that will take a week or even more, and so you need to build up your endurance so that you can actually reach that and do it with comfort without feeling totally out of it. And then the third step is one that I've already touched on. You need to take definite breaks. So decide on a time slot or a set amount of time that you will focus on something, and then decide what your break will be. Now obviously, if you only concentrate for 5 minutes, you can't go and make tea every break or drink water every break. So then you need to figure something out that you can do in that short time that won't take up much time, because you can't spend your day breaking. So as I've said, walk around the table, maybe get up, stretch your legs, sit down again, anything like that, just so that you can tell your brain, I have now finished one thing, this is now the cut off, and now I'm ready to focus on the next thing. So you're just helping your brain with this transition to make it easier and less stressful on you. So those are my tips for single tasking. I can tell you from my own life, it is really one of the best ways to simplify your life. This running around trying to get everything done at the same time just to realize that you didn't do anything well, it's stressful. It just increases my anxiety and it makes me wonder, why do I do all of this stuff? It overcomplicates my life and it gives me sleepless nights. So please try single tasking. Let me know in the comments. You can just say single tasker if you are going to try it, or if that is the way that you just roll. If you want to disagree with me, then drop a comment, multitasker. Tell us if you think you're really good at it and why. And please, if you like what you saw, hit subscribe, click the bell so that you can be notified of new videos as they come up. Please tell your friends and family, share wide. Everyone needs to simplify their lives, and we all need a little bit of encouragement every now and then. Remember to find me on my social media platforms, and then I will see you next week.